The United States is under attack. And this is coming from the FBI, from the Department of Homeland Security. They are now saying that the attacks are not just coming from other countries. We are now seeing the attacks originate right here in the United States. Now today I'm going to address why this is such a concern right now and what the FBI is telling us, because again, they are issuing a warning, not just for the United States, not just because of Iran, not just because of Russia, but now it involves China, and China is preparing for a war with the United States. So I will bring you that update in just a moment. All I ask is one thing, takes 2 seconds. Go ahead, hit that like button if you enjoy these daily updates. And now let's begin. Now, I know a lot of people are going to come out and say that China would never attack the United States. The United States is not going to war with China. But it's not about going to an actual war. It's preparing for that war. And according to multiple Pentagon officials, they are saying that if China is preparing for a war with the United States, that itself could actually spark additional conflicts. And I want to explain why. Just look at this. This is something that the FBI had to do. The FBI shut down China Volt Typhoon, hackers targeting the U.S. infrastructure. Now, I want to read you just the key points here, and then we need to listen to what the FBI director, Christopher Wray, had to say just the other day. First, let's read these key points. It says the FBI has shut down a China-backed hacking group called Volt Typhoon. Director Christopher Wray announced at a House committee hearing. This was just the other day. It says Microsoft in May warned of Volt Typhoon's hacking efforts, advising customers to change their security details. Wray has raised several alarm bells about Chinese government spying efforts over the past few years. Now, I want you to listen to what he's saying in just a moment, and here's the reason why. Right now, the United States is in a very vulnerable situation. We have an issue with Russia and Ukraine that the United States is trying to fund. We're trying to fund additional support and military equipment for Ukraine. Trying to do the same thing for Israel. But a lot of the world isn't backing Israel. They're backing the Palestinian people. But the United States is on the opposite side of that. That's troubling. Now we also have a conflict with Iran and Iranian-backed groups. But the big issue is the U.S. southern border. This is the reason why. Because even though the FBI is saying that they can try to figure out and how are these hackers getting into our systems, and we can prevent this because a lot of the hacking is coming from China itself. Well, here's the issue. What happens when these Chinese nationals come into the United States and are hacking from within the system? That's the concern. Because what's going on right now is that the United States is pretty much open. Our borders are not secure. This is one of the reasons why the Florida Governor Ron DeSantis just today announced that he is going to be sending hundreds of additional troops, National Guard troops to the U.S. southern border to help them protect our nation, to make sure that the United States remains a country and we are not divided. That is exactly what he had to say. Now, I want to play you this clip. It's going to be about a 3-minute long clip. This is from the FBI Director Christopher Wray. I'll jump in the middle of this and kind of give you my thoughts and give you some additional updates as well. So let's get right down to it. Listen to this.
Before I go on, I do want to make very clear that my comments today are not about the Chinese people, and certainly not about Chinese Americans who contribute much to our country and are frankly often the victims of Chinese Communist Party aggression themselves. Rather, when I talk about the threat posed by China, I mean the government of China.
That's big. He's actually talking about the government itself, not necessarily the people. Because again, and I bring this up, I talked about this yesterday, just on Monday. Okay, on Monday, we saw here in the United States, there were 97 Chinese national men that entered the United States. Okay, this is just in, I believe in California only. Not Arizona, not New Mexico, not Texas. It was just California, I believe. That is insane. 97 people in one day are what we accounted for. 97, according to this report, military-age men. Okay, that came through. Let's keep listening.
In particular, led by the CCP. The CCP's dangerous actions, China's multi-pronged assault on our national and economic security, make it the defining threat of our generation. Now, when I described the CCP as a threat to American safety a moment ago, I meant that quite literally. There has been far too little public focus on the fact that PRC hackers are targeting our critical infrastructure, our water treatment plants, our electrical grid, our oil and natural gas pipelines, our transportation systems, and the risk that poses to every American requires our attention now.
I want to touch on something there really quick, because what he's saying is that these hackers are posing a threat to our critical infrastructure. Okay, our waterways, right? Our telecommunications. We have there's transportation. That's another big one. Highways, airports, everything, right? And these are just examples. But if you remember back a little bit over a year ago, we saw multiple attacks. These were multiple attacks on power stations, where people would shoot bullets into these stations, and they'd go down for days. Okay, or they drive vehicles into these guarded stations. Again, the power station, the grid around it would go down for days, if not potentially over a week. This is a concern, because what happens if we continue to see these attacks? Or we're not just concerned with the cyber attack aspect of it, now the physical attack, because the people are here inside the United States. Again, our borders are open. So this leaves us with all kinds of additional problems. And what is coming up at the end of this year? On November 5th, I believe, of 2024, this will be the culmination of the election. This is when we will know who's going to be running the country, who is going to be the next president of the United States. Will it be continuing on with President Joe Biden? Will he be winning his second term? We don't know. Will it be somebody else? Again, we don't know. We also know who is going to be controlling the Senate and the House. Could it be Republicans both? Could it be Democrats in both? Could it remain divided? It possibly could. But this is when we are going to know. And this is why President Biden got a confirmation from Xi Jinping just today that China will stay out of the upcoming election. But are they really going to do that? Well, we'll find out. Let's keep listening.
China's hackers are positioning on American infrastructure in preparation to wreak havoc and cause real-world harm to American citizens and communities if and when China decides the time has come to strike.
Want to touch on that one as well. That is huge. This is also what we know based off of these Iranian-backed proxies. For example, Hamas, Hezbollah, even the Houthis. Hezbollah, according to the FBI, has had sleeper cells here in the United States. They've set up operations here in the U.S., inside our borders. Hezbollah. Okay? Now, the concern is if we were to go to war with Iran, Hezbollah could strike. Not outside in. They're already here. They could strike us at any moment. That's the concern the FBI has with China as well. That they have people here inside the United States. They've had people here for decades. It's nothing new. This is why some farmers here in the United States, they are concerned because farmland has been being bought up by Chinese companies, some of which are near military bases. That's concerning as well. Let's keep listening, though.
They're not focused just on political and military targets. We can see from where they position themselves across civilian infrastructure that low blows aren't just a possibility in the event of a conflict. Low blows against civilians are part of China's plan. But the PRC's cyber onslaught goes way beyond prepositioning for future conflict. Today, and literally every day, they're actively attacking our economic security, engaging in wholesale theft of our innovation and our personal and corporate data. Nor is cyber the only PRC threat we face. The PRC cyber threat is made vastly more dangerous by the way they knit cyber into a whole-of-government campaign against us. They recruit human sources to target our businesses, using insiders to steal the same kinds of innovation and data that their hackers are targeting.
I want to touch on something there as well. What he's saying is, people are already here for one. And here's the concern. When people come into the United States, let's say they are a Chinese national, one of the things that we are seeing is people are being attacked on Facebook, on Instagram, on TikTok, doesn't matter, here on YouTube, doesn't matter where, right? People are almost being cyberbullied into doing what another person, or in this case, a country, is asking. Well, we've already seen the reports on this with people in Texas, where people in Texas were being threatened to do what China was asking, to do China's work. Now, the crazy part about this is those people, again, being threatened, are likely to do something. And this is the concern. If somebody comes into the United States and they do not have the means to pay for shelter, pay for food, pay for health care, right? Pay for a vehicle, get a job. Well, it makes it that much easier for Chinese, people or potential, terrorists to come in and try to recruit those people, pay them to now be on their side. This is a concern, and the FBI has been issuing this warning for years that this is something that they're highly concerned with, because nothing has happened, but they know these programs and these threats are already there. Let's keep listening.
While also engaging in corporate deception, hiding Beijing's hand in transactions, joint ventures, and investments to do the same. And they don't just hit our security and economy, they target our freedoms, reaching inside our borders across America to silence, coerce, and threaten some of our citizens and residents.
Okay, let's stop right there. So he's saying to silence, threaten, and coerce. This is exactly what's happening, and this is the reason why it's a big problem, because China is preparing for war with the United States. Now, the FBI director, Christopher Wray, came out and says that China is preparing to wreak havoc. They're not just preparing to wreak havoc. They can do that at any time, and it wouldn't constitute a war. But if the United States and China were to get into a bigger conflict, potentially over Taiwan, the concern within the United States and from the Pentagon is that China has more here inside the United States that they could potentially threaten us and harm us before we could do anything to them. So, I just wanted to fill you in on this, because as of right now, this warning by the FBI, this is concerning enough, but when you couple this with an open border and hundreds or thousands of Chinese nationals and military-age men coming into the United States, that's concerning. That's extremely concerning. But, and I want to just point this out, because this is what many lawmakers have already said as well, is that Chinese people coming into the United States, Chinese nationals or military-age men, that is not the issue. The issue is when people are coming in here and we do not know what the reason is, we do not know where they're going, we do not know really why they came into the United States at this point and why they're coming in illegally. That's the concern. So, all I can tell you is the FBI is issuing these warnings. There has to be a reason why they're issuing these at this time. So, let's be prepared just in case something may happen. But like the FBI has said multiple times over the past few months, if you see something, say something. So, I'll leave you guys with that. Just want to thank you guys for watching. Consider subscribing. I will see you guys on the next one.